What it do? Welcome to the J-Boy Sports Podcast. Please like, share, and subscribe if you enjoy the content. If you don't love the content, you can still do those things because you can help a brother out, and a brother would always help you out. You know this already. Make sure that you comment so we can have conversations and possibly even debate in the comment section. Ball is life, so I will reply. Hit that notification bell so you don't miss any of our glorious content. And then lastly, hang on towards the end of this video for some other suggested videos that we know you will love. With that said, the brother Kyrie Irving defends Kobe Bryant against the bum mindsets. And this is kind of a term that I heard from Olden Polynice. You'll see a video on that soon if you haven't already seen it. But essentially what he was saying is he's like, bums, man, bums. And was he calling them bums on the court? Was he saying that everybody that has something to say sucked? That's not necessarily what he's saying. What he's saying is the mindset is a bum mindset. You're talking about a guy who you couldn't hold a candle to when he was alive, but because he's gone, you feel a lot of confidence. And the only people left to talk about him, besides the fans and the people that knew him and loved him and will stand up for him, is his wife and some girls, some daughters. He doesn't have any sons. So, you know, some of y'all are feeling kind of cocky, feeling pretty good. But, yeah, we're not going to let that last, man. We're going to cut that. We're going to nip that in the bud. And we're going to start with Kyrie Irving. And if you don't know a lot about Kyrie Irving, Kyrie's been through his own crap. People have disrespected him, have lied on his name, have tried to take him out. But he's a survivor. 'Cause I'm a rider. I'm just a soul survivor. That's what Kyrie Irving is, okay? They couldn't take him out. So he knows what it's like to go through the pressure, to go through, to go through when people don't like you and how they treat you in the media. Kyrie Irving was not a top 75 player, but Dame Lillard was. Dame doesn't suck, but at the same time, in my opinion, I mean, you could argue Dame led his team for longer by himself. I'll give you that. But at the end of the day, if we're talking just talent, I think Kyrie Irving's more talented. That's just my opinion. But I'm not 100% mad that Dame made it, but I feel like Kyrie should have possibly made it over Dame. That's just my personal opinion. But that's neither here nor there. What we're going to do right now is we're going to jump right into Kyrie Irving, talking about these people that keep disrespecting Kobe Bryant. And I always say to people be laughing at me, and especially online, people try to, make fun of you when you say certain statements, but I'm dead up when I say this, man. I'm willing to die on this one. I'm willing to die on this one. I'm not going to let people disrespect Kobe Bryant. I'm just not going to let it happen. I invested too much into some of his ideas and, some of his thoughts. And obviously, he's not the most important person ever to me. His ways are not the most important ways. Some of his ideas are not the most important ideas. That's true. The most important ideas for me are always going to be God's ideas. But at the end of the day, again, if you have a really good friend that inspired a lot of people, even though I didn't know him personally, I'm going to stand up for him. You know what I mean? And that's just how I look at it. And so Kyrie feels the same way. Let's check out what he had to say.
I'm not letting people come on and talk about Kobe like Kobe wasn't one of the best that not only played, but that came in as a 17-year-old against grown men. And by the time this man was 22 years old, he had a few championships and he was busting the best of the best. Knock it off. I'm talking to y'all at home, the media talking heads, the ones that casually throw names around like, bro, if you don't knock it off, you weren't like that. It's okay. Not everybody could be Kobe. Not everybody could wear those size, size shoes that he had. Yeah, I'm not going down into detail about this because what's said on the internet and the digital space is said. It's the internet. But when it comes to real respect and real recognizing real, this man, Kobe Bean Bryant, is immortalized not just because of his basketball. That's what I'm trying to tell y'all. Like, this man, he is way bigger because of the character, because of what we witnessed him go through. We didn't care we didn't care about certain failures. The real Kobe fans didn't care about the failures. They didn't care about the naysayers. The real Kobe fans, the real Mamba fans that I'm talking to didn't care about who he was competing with. We know who with Kobe and who didn't. I know who Kobe and who didn't. I'm not going to say I knew Kobe the best at all. I won't say that. I'm not going to disrespect all his relationships. I'm not going to do that. But what I will say is Put respect. Put respect where it's due, y'all. We know who Kobe with.
And so that's the brother Kyrie Irving speaking on his sadly deceased brother Kobe Bean Bryant. And, Kyrie said some things that I think is important to point out. And one of the things that he pointed out just from the jump, Kobe came in as a 17-year-old, and was he the best 17-year-old that we ever saw play? Maybe not. And there's reasons for that. One of the reasons for that is, and if you haven't already understood this or learned this, when he first came in, they didn't play young players back then. I think Kevin Garnett came in around that time. Tracy McGrady was in around that time, or a year after, something like that. They did not play those guys back then. They didn't play them. They made Kobe's life miserable because he was young, and the coach didn't like him. Del Harris at the time, was it? Maybe, I think. Didn't play him. Now, flip side, Jerry West said it's the best workout I've ever seen. They brought in Michael Cooper to defend him, and even though Michael Cooper retired, I believe around that time, he still had enough juice to go out there and play some solid defense. And Cooper said it's the best workout he's ever seen as well. Kobe was like that, but they didn't like him, and so they didn't let him play early. Still, managed to persevere through that. 22 years old, I think he already had 3 championships by then. I think by then he had 3 already. As a young kid, Kobe came in with a dominance that really I've never seen in my lifetime. Now, I think Magic came in right out the jump and he was nice, but he played in college. Bird played in college. They didn't come right off the streets. You could say, oh, Bron came in really good. I mean, he did, but he was losing. Melo played 1 year of college, and to me, that's probably the most spectacular player I ever seen just straight jump into the league and have success, was Melo. LeBron didn't make the playoffs his first couple of years. Melo did it in the West, where things were tough. Melo was a special player. Don't let them tell you wrong. I got a video that you'll probably see before this one, because it should come out before this one. I put them on timers and I record them. So you'll see that Melo video shot 64% for a whole year on pull-ups, which is insane. Pull-up jump shots. But back to this, Kobe came in. A lot of people can't do that. And you're going to see another video I'm going to do about Shaq and what he said recently about Kobe. It was good and bad. And I still am always going to love Shaq, because I think Shaq comes from a good place, but I think Shaq gets petty and gets a little upset when people don't give him his credit. He's a big guy. He's a tough guy. He's a strong guy. I don't want to mess with him. But deep inside, I think Shaq's a little softy. And I don't mean that badly. He has a good heart. You see all the stuff he does for them kids, buying kids computers and toys when they ain't got no money. He's a good man. But we all have flaws. And to me, that's Shaq's flaw, is he gets a little sensitive when he feels like he doesn't get his credit. But we all do a little bit, so I'm not mad at him. But, Kobe came in, and even people were saying, like, this person could take that spot. Mac, AI, guys that I love, Vince. Shaq even said Steph in that video I'm going to go over soon. But no, because Kobe fought through a lot of crap. He fought with Shaq. How do you think you become that good when you're Kobe Bryant, when you already got a dominant alpha on your team? You got to have tough skin. You got to have some cojones on you. Kobe never backed down from a fight. He never quit. Against the Suns, he didn't have that good of a Game 7. I remember that. However, so they say, it was principal reasons behind it. I do believe he was trying to make a point, but I personally would have rather him make it at another time, but I get it. But you don't just come in, 17 years old, fight your way to the top, don't get to start, finally get a start, and win a championship or you're dang near your first year starting, almost, fully. Because I think the year before that, he came in for Rick Fox because Rick Fox was hurt. And that's when he airballed them shots. And I think the year after that, they won the championship, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong. But I think that's how it went down. Or something like that. I got to do the research. Don't hold me to the fire on that one. But, came in as a young man, pushed through in a way that really, I'm telling you, people could not push through. And my boy, with the Man Down crew, again, I'm not sure if they're still listening to my stuff. I hope they are. I try to be entertaining, but I just saw a video he did where he was showing T-Mac talking about getting tips from Kobe Bryant on how to be successful and what to do when they're, I remember listening to something too before where Kobe told him, like, don't just be out there, don't be just not shooting and doing this, because then they'll never respect you. Like, Mac went to Kobe for advice, and you just going to switch them out and think it's going to work? Kobe's mental toughness is a large part of who he is, and that's what Kyrie Irving is talking about. And then he said, off the internet, forget all this internet crap. Off of it, real recognize real. That's why all the NBA players was going to Kobe. That's why all of them want to talk to Kobe. That's why SGA want to be like Kobe. That's why J-Dub want to be like Kobe. They just won a championship. That's why Saquon Barkley, who just won a championship with the Eagles, talks heavily about Kobe Bryant. That's why Jalen Hurts, who's a part of Clutch, his hero should be LeBron. He don't talk. I never heard him talk about LeBron. I hear him talk a lot about Kobe. Jalen Hurts to me acts like Kobe, and the way he carries himself and his demeanor, you could tell he's an extremely smart athlete. Grew up with his father. Father coached him, similar to Kobe. Might be something there. We got to raise our sons. That's all I'm saying. Right? That's all I'm saying. But champions are going to Kobe Bryant. Off this internet stuff with these bum mindset people, the answer to your questions and how to be successful as an athlete, to fight through adversity when nobody likes you, is Kobe being Bryant. That's what he's talking about right there. And he also said Kobe was bigger than his basketball stuff. It was the character. Who he was as a person and what he stood for transcends basketball. And I've been trying to tell you guys that. Basketball is just one aspect of it. If he was just a good basketball player, that's one thing. It's what he brought to the world outside of that. The conversation, when you listen to him talk, he was an intelligent person, to the point where I'm telling you, a lot of his problems with these journalists is because they weren't as smart as him. They're smarter than a lot of these athletes. That just is what it is. When you have to work so hard on your body, you don't work as hard on your mind. And so journalists run circles around these people. Intellectually, some are really smart. Michael was really smart. Kareem was really smart. Magic is really smart. Bird is really smart. But a lot of those dudes are from a different era. In this era, yeah, Kobe's really smart. Or he was. In the next era, excuse me, not this era, the next era. T-Mac was really smart, in my opinion. AI was really smart. AI had his problems, but when you get him, sit him down and talk, AI just is a good... To me, I won't even say that I think AI is like the smartest guy ever, and I'm not trying to be disrespectful, but to me, who he was as a person, everybody loves. I never met a person that didn't love AI unless they just... Maybe they didn't like some of the culture that he brought to the game or whatever. But as a person, I don't know if you're going to find a much better person from what I see in interviews and on TV. Kobe's character was bigger than life. He also said we didn't care about the failures if you're a Mamba fan. And that's me. I don't really care about the failures, man. We all fail in life. You have to... The only way to know how serious, how tough you are, how great you are, is how you respond to failure. I've never seen Kobe Bryant look at failure and think it's the end. He's only ever motivated himself and others to rise above failure, to not accept it. And what's crazy to me is people look at some of these athletes now and you want to follow behind some of these guys. Okay, fine. But what are they teaching you? Like, why do they deserve to be a mentor to you or a hero to you? Because just because they have money and they're tall? In football, just because they're really strong and fast? Like, I don't understand what you're following at that point. And I'm not saying you should be following men in general, but what do you like about that person that makes you want to, take some of their qualities for yourself? And one of the things for me with Kobe Bryant was the attention to detail after the failure. Life is hard. It's full of ups and downs. Certain parts of life suck. If you're a husband and a father, you understand that even more, how things are just not fair sometimes. You're trying to do the best for your family. You get knocked down. All these things are real things that happen to us as people. I'm sure women go through their stuff too. I know they do. But I'm a man, and I can only speak from that standpoint, and I know most of the people listening to this channel are men. So it's not about the failures, it's about how you respond to the failures. Life is 10% what happens to you and 90% how you handle it, and I will always forever stress that. In your darkest moments, never forget that. And then lastly, he said we know who messed with Kobe and we know who didn't. And if you haven't figured that out by now, by listening to this channel, I don't know if you're ever going to figure it out. At the end of the day, I just put out a bunch of videos telling you who is against Kobe. You know it. If it has a K, I don't care if it says karate. Be weary of it, because that's close to clutch. All right? Clutch doesn't mess with Kobe. Kai said he's not going to say no names. I'm going to say some names. Clutch. If it has a K, be careful. They don't mess with Kobe. And they try to ruin his legacy. It's them. It's LeBron, it's Rich Paul, Mav Carter, Nick Wright, Shannon Sharp at times. Even though Shannon seems to be backing up a little bit, he kind of came to Kobe's defense with the recent slander. So I'll give him that. And honestly, I don't see Shannon slander Kobe that much. I see him just obsessively go for LeBron. So let me take Shannon's name out of that. Sorry, Shannon. But, all the other ones, all the other ones, that's what they do. Bleacher Report, ESPN, they all are obsessed with LeBron James. So at the end of the day, like Kai said, we know who messes with Kobe and we know who doesn't. And those that don't, they don't, and they won't. They're going to stick to a narrative. They're going to stick to what gets them paid. They're not giving you their actual opinion. And at this point, who gives a freak what their opinion is? Because they're liars. So with that said, you heard what the brother Kyrie Irving had to say. I added my 2 cents on top of it. At the end of the day, it's Mamba all day, every day. Even though he's passed, we're still going to support Kobe Bryant on this channel. We're going to support some of his ideologies. And we're just going to keep it real. We're going to tell the truth. That's just what we're going to do. We tell the truth over here. I don't care how people feel about that. If you don't like the truth, you're not going to like this channel. And that's not saying that I'm always going to be right and every outlook and every take that I have is correct. I'll make adjustments as need be. If I have a conversation with somebody and I feel like I'm wrong, I'll change. I don't have a problem doing that. But I'm going to stick to the truth the best way that I personally can based on the information that I have. And the truth lies within what Kobe Bryant represented, what he did, what he accomplished, and how he worked towards those same goals every single day. All right, so I'm not gonna let other people tarnish that just because, he passed away trying to support his daughter and a bunch of other girls, so, and their families. So it is what it is there. So thank you very much for listening this long. What do you think? Do you think Kyrie is doing what a little brother should do for the big brother if something happens to the big brother, or do you think Kyrie's out of line? I think I already know the answer to that, but might as well have a question on the way out, right? So thank you very much for listening this long. I truly appreciate it, per usual. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe this content, this video in particular, because this is the one you're listening to right now. Make sure that you hit that notification bell so you don't miss any of our glorious content. Make sure that you comment so we can have conversations in the comment section. Lastly, hang on towards the end of this video so you can check out some of our other suggested videos that we know you'll love. Truly appreciate your time. I truly appreciate you. I'm very thankful, very humble. Much love.
Tell that somehow you'll never get over leaving me. And when you feel like coming